Thank you so much, Senator, for the introduction, and thank you very much to the committee for the invitation to present to you today. It was an honour to receive your request. Further to your invitation, my purpose this afternoon will be to provide you all with an overview of comparative European law on the termination of pregnancy, and to that end my presentation will describe the grounds and timeframes on which abortion is legal across 46 other European countries. And I am hopeful that this information will assist the important and valuable deliberations that you are currently conducting on behalf of the citizens of Ireland, among whom I should say, in case my accent hasn't given it away, I am very proud to belong. However, before I turn to the substance of European laws on abortion, I thought it would be helpful for me to briefly clarify certain matters regarding the work of the Centre for Reproductive Rights in relation to Ireland. And as time is short, for more information, I would also refer you to the Centre's website. The Centre's mandate is well known. We work across the world, and specifically in Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America and the United States, to advance the legal protection of women's reproductive health and rights. And this means that the Centre uses law to advance women's access to health care, including affordable contraception and family planning, safe and legal abortion and quality maternal health care. And we also work to prevent child marriage and forced sterilisation. In Ireland, as many of you will know, the Centre's work has focused on representing Amanda Mellett and Siobhan Whelan in relation to their complaints to the United Nations Human Rights Committee and in all advocacy, governmental, media and political engagement related to those cases and the decisions of the committee. As I know you are aware, both of these decisions held that Ireland is obliged under international treaties to provide effective remedies to Miss Mellett and Miss Whelan, and the decisions specify that these remedies must entail three things: compensation, psychological support services and reform of Irish abortion law in order to prevent similar violations from happening in the future. And therefore, as the representative of Miss Mellett and Miss Whelan, the Centre must call on and advocate for Ireland's compliance with the committee's decisions and the government's provision of the specified remedies. And indeed, any and all advocacy or political or governmental engagement by the Centre in relation to Ireland has been undertaken in the context of these two cases. The Centre's general fundraising for its work in Europe includes Ireland in relation to support for its work on the Human Rights Committee cases and its advocacy to ensure the required law reform. The Centre is not providing any funding to Irish organisations for campaigning or for political activities. In addition to our work representing Miss Mellett and Miss Whelan, the Centre has contributed modest amounts to the National Women's Council of Ireland and the Irish Family Planning Association to support expert events for lawyers and medical practitioners regarding international human rights law and WHO guidelines on safe and legal abortion, as well as events to provide women and men with a diversity of views with an opportunity to engage in non-directive discussions about abortion. Turning now to the substance of my presentation, my goal is going to be to provide all of you with a quick overview of the laws on abortion that exist in 46 other European countries. And in particular, I will aim to outline what the standard approach is among most European countries to the legality of abortion. And to assist with this, I will take us through 8 slides that will outline this standard approach. Additionally, in order to supplement the information I will cover quickly now, we've also provided a large chart to all of you, and I think we have hard copies in the room, that illustrates the grounds and some of the timeframes in which abortion is legal in each of the 46 European countries we'll cover. And all of this information is taken from primary legal sources that can be independently verified, and we've also submitted a booklet to all of you with copies of many or most of the relevant legal provisions, and we also have some hard copies here for you today. As you will see from the slides and from the supplementary materials, the Citizens' Assembly recommendations on the full set of reasons and timeframes on which abortion should be made lawful in Ireland align almost in their entirety with the laws on abortion in almost all other European countries. And as a result, if the Citizens' Assembly recommendations regarding future legislation were adopted, it's safe to say they would bring Irish law on abortion into line with the laws of almost all other European countries. Okay, so moving on to the slides. What is the standard legal approach to abortion across Europe? Well, let's look at this first slide, and as you can see, it's a map of Europe, and we see that almost all European countries, 40 countries in total, are coloured either green or light yellow on this map. And this means that all of these countries have made abortion legal, either on a woman's request, without restriction as to reason or for reasons of distress, and these are the countries in green, or on broad socio-economic or psychological grounds, and these are the countries in light yellow on the map. Whereas the countries in red or dark orange on the map do not allow abortion either on a woman's request or on broad socio-economic grounds, but only in exceptional circumstances. And so what this map shows us is that 25 of all 28 EU member states have made it lawful for women to access abortion either on their request or on broad socio-economic grounds, at least in early pregnancy. And it also shows us that 40 out of 47 Council of Europe member states have taken this approach. And as you will all know, all the 28 EU member states are also members of the Council of Europe. And only 3 EU member states do not allow abortion either on a woman's request or on broad socio-economic or psychological grounds, and these are Ireland, Malta and Poland. And within the 47 Council of Europe member states, these 3 EU countries are joined by 4 micro-state jurisdictions: Andorra, Liechtenstein, Monaco and San Marino. So now in the remaining time, we'll move on and look at the next few slides, and we're going to focus in on the approach of the countries in green and light yellow on the map. And as we can see from the map, the majority, 36 countries, which are in green, have legalised access to abortion on a woman's request. And here on this next slide, you can see a quick recap of these countries. And in the vast majority of these countries that allow access to abortion on a woman's request, women do not need to give any reason when they ask for an abortion. However, in a small number of countries, and we can see here on this next slide, women must explain that they are seeking an abortion because of social or family circumstances or because continuing the pregnancy would cause them distress. And you can see the breakdown here across countries. And then, what about time limits and gestational limits? Well, all of these European countries impose a time limit on when abortion on a woman's request is legal. And we can see here from this slide what time limits these countries impose on the legality of abortion on a woman's request. And we can see that a time limit in and around early pregnancy is the norm, and that a 12-week limit is the most common. Now, moving on. In addition to the 36 countries that were in green on the map and that have legalised access to abortion on a woman's request, we also saw there were 4 European countries in light yellow on the map, and that these 4 countries have taken a different approach, and they haven't legalised abortion on a woman's request, but instead on broad socio-economic or psychological grounds. And in these 4 countries, for abortion to be lawful, doctors or sometimes social workers must certify the existence of the relevant socio-economic or psychological reason. And we can see on this slide the 4 countries and the different reasons and the time limits involved. And then, very quickly before I finish, what happens in these 40 countries we've looked at once the time period for abortion on a woman's request or on broad socio-economic or psychological grounds ends? Well, in almost all of these 40 countries, after the time period ends, doctors can still legally perform abortions for one or more exceptional reasons. And here you can see on this slide the usual reasons that are allowed in almost all European countries' laws, and then sexual assault and socio-economic reasons are present in many countries' laws as exceptional reasons, but not always explicitly there. And the terminology and the approach differs across countries. In some of these countries, these exceptional reasons are each articulated as an explicit ground in the relevant law, while in some others the grounds are implicitly included into other grounds. And we don't have time to go through all of these grounds now. We just want to focus briefly in on women's health and on sexual assault. And of course, all the grounds are listed in the chart that we've submitted to all of you, and the breakdown across the countries. In terms of women's health, I just wanted to capture for you the fact that although legal terminology differs across countries, in almost all of the 40 countries we've looked at, their laws implicitly or explicitly allow abortion when a woman's health is at risk. And you can see from this slide that the majority of these laws do not specify a time limit for this ground. And then finally, what is the approach across the 40 countries to the legality of abortion following situations of sexual assault? Well, firstly, I think it's important to note that in all of the 36 countries where abortion is legal on a woman's request, women who are pregnant as a result of rape or incest can always access abortion within the relevant time limit under the on-request ground. And so in these countries, women who have survived sexual assault can follow a generally applicable process to obtain a lawful abortion, and they don't have to fulfil special procedures or report the rape. And then secondly, I think for this reason, many of these countries do not include an explicit ground on abortion in their law, and you can see that group of countries there. And then at the same time, about half of these 40 countries do have an explicit ground for sexual assault in their abortion laws. And this means that women who are pregnant as a result of rape can either access abortion in early pregnancy under the ground for access on a woman's request, or then often later in pregnancy under an explicit separate ground related to sexual assault. So I will stop there, and thank you very much for your attention, and I'm hopeful that this overview has been helpful and informative, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much.